This morning, it's a race against time to rescue the 5 men on the missing submersible somewhere in the North Atlantic, as oxygen on the vehicle is quickly running out.
It's Thursday morning, 5 days into the search for the missing crew of the submersible Titan, and time is everything.
At this hour, the massive search for a missing sub in the North Atlantic Ocean has reached a critical point.
Leads go nowhere, and that banging noise heard earlier in the week grows silent. The critical point was about to get worse.
Breaking news at this moment. We have just gotten some information from the Coast Guard. They're saying that a debris field has been found in the search area by an ROV near the Titanic.
There's great concern with this latest news. It doesn't feel good at the moment. They know what debris is down there. They know what other missions have left behind. They know what the Titanic looks like down there. So they must have seen something that was different.
What they saw convinced OceanGate to release a statement that its crew aboard Titan was gone. We now believe that our CEO Stockton Rush, Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman Dawood, Hamish Harding, and Paul-Henri Nargeolet have sadly been lost. U.S. Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mauger confirmed the worst.
An ROV, or remote-operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
The U.S. Navy now says the sound they detected in the Atlantic Ocean just hours after the Titan began its descent on Monday was consistent with an implosion.
The discovery and disclosure of a debris field came almost as a relief. An implosion event would be extremely quick. It would last less than a second, and the people inside very likely didn't even have time to feel afraid.
The announcement sent shockwaves through the tight-knit deep-sea community. The search and rescue was now a search and recovery mission for a vessel that, in the eyes of some experts, never should have been in the water.
Captain, first, how are you processing this news?
Well, Alex, I'm heartsick for the people on board and what they suffered, but also for their families. And I'm angry as hell because this thing should have never have happened. For the last several years, anybody that's asked me, I'd advised them not to make a dive on that. The technology was too risky.
Now it will be up to the Transportation Safety Board of Canada and the U.S. Coast Guard to lead the investigation. They say this investigation will take time. It's too early to tell if the construction of the sub had anything to do with the implosion.
This is something the size of a minivan that broke into at least 5 pieces. What do you try to salvage?
The spread of the debris field can tell us a bit about how far the submarine made it down into the water column before the implosion occurred.
Before they tried to salvage or recover something, it would involve very difficult conversations with the loved ones of the 5 people who perished that far underwater.
And for the future of deep-sea exploration, the horror and hubris of this tragic event came with a haunting message.
Are these expeditions worth it? When it comes to survivability, if something goes wrong on a Titanic expedition, there is always the possibility that you won't come back.
It is sobering when you see something go wrong. You do reflect a bit further about it.
I think that's going to be a process that plays out not just in the coming days or weeks or months, even years.
The loss of Titanic spurred real maritime change in terms of safety and regulations, and I think the loss of Titan is going to do the same.
We cannot stop the quest for exploration because that's how we advance as human society, as a civilization.
These are serious people with serious curiosity, willing to put serious money down to go to these interesting places, and I don't want to discourage that. But I think now that our worst fears have happened, and we know why it happened, I think largely, you know, it puts us now on even more alert to be disciplined and to really think about the ethics of it.
Explorers have the curiosity about what's around that corner? What's over that mountain? What's around that side? Seeing something that you wouldn't otherwise see, and that frankly, there's probably a bit of a thrill to think you're one of the few people who've seen it. So at root is curiosity, as well as satisfaction from accomplishment that can be very intense.
For retired Navy Captain Bobby Scully, it's always been about the family.
When we do these really hard operations like this, it is emotionally difficult. And even though we have the family members always in the back of our heads, we try not to think about that until the mission is complete. And then there's just not something that you can give back to the families. No matter how hard you try, there's just nothing that you can give back.
The Coast Guard has called the investigation into what happened incredibly complex and said it'll take time to determine what went wrong on board. Thanks for watching The Whole Story. I'll see you next time.